Okay, let's see if we can go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and start off at the bottom per se. So we're going to come down here first of all. Make sure you get your name on your paper. You'll never know if you need to go ahead and find this. What we have here is what's called letter forms. It's part of the 8-point drawing method that I talked to you all about. It's a pretty simple concept. Let me go ahead and show you how this works. Okay, that's somewhat centered now. Now the example here is pretty simple. We got the cheats on and all that good kinds of stuff. Remember, we're going to use 3 different direction lines. It's going to be a vertical line, which is straight up and down. A line that heads off across, raised 15 degrees, direction 1. And then the other side, direction 7. All times we want to stay away from the horizontal line, which is direction 2 and direction 6. So what we're going to do is look at these letter shapes, for lack of better things to call them. And I start off giving you the face of the letter itself, or the face of the form. And it's really simple what you need to do here. Just like on the flag shapes last week, I told you that whenever a line goes ahead and changes a direction, a new line is formed. So we're going to come down here to this corner and start right here. And then wherever there is that corner there, it's made with a vertical and a direction 1 line. So there's only one other option which way you can go, which is going to be one of these here. So it's going to be 7. Rule of relationship that says the distance going back is always the same. So we're going to go back here, direction 7, direction 7. And everywhere that you see a corner, you're going to run a small 1/4 inch line heading back in direction 7. It's a pretty simple thing to do. You will not have one on this corner here because it goes back and it's actually overlapped by this object. So what we're going to do now is finish the form up, and it's going to look like this. We're going to follow the rule of relationship again, like on the flag shapes. Whatever the top line does, the bottom line did the same thing. In this case, whatever the front line does, which is a vertical line, the back line does the same thing. So it'll go up and down also. Then we follow our way up around, and we come up to this top of this L shape. And this is heading off into direction 1. So the back line has to go direction 1 also. We follow back around. We won't see this side because of the overlap. We work our way over. We have this line in direction 7, and we finish it off direction 1. We'll do direction 1 here. It's just that simple. It's a process that you need to follow, and if you stick to the process, you'll do quite well with it. Let's go ahead and take the cheats off of this one. And I'm always going to start off, and I'm going to give you a face on this thing here. And then, of course, it's the same face as this other one. And then I'm always going to give you a clue down here somewhere at the base of these things. I'm always going to give you the clue, all right? So we're going to start here. And it tells you, the clue is we're going to make another line in direction 7. So you want to go to every corner, every time the line changes a direction, and you're basically going to go ahead and make a small direction 7 line. And then what you're going to do is follow the rule of relationship that says whatever the front line does, the back line does the same thing. Remember, always air draw first and lightly touch the pencil down so that you get an idea of which direction the line is going in. If you have troubles keeping your lines in alignment, which is one of your vocabulary words last week, air draw over the top of an existing line, and then before your muscle memory fades, you can go ahead and get it in the right direction. Now we're going to add another aspect to this we've talked about before, shading the shadow, creating value onto an object. And this is going to go ahead and make it a little bit clearer what's going on here, because as these get more and more complex, it gets more and more confusing. So shading plays a very important role. That role is, the definition of shading, or part of it, is that it helps clarify the picture. That means everywhere we add a little bit of shading onto this side here, a few onto this side here, just to establish that it exists, a few on the top. And then the shadow just comes out a little bit this way, just to land it. We don't have to go ahead and create the actual form. That's not important. Let's go over to the next letter shape here. It's the same letter L. This could be a foot. It could be almost anything, a boot, a shoe. Your imagination can go in any direction it wants to go. The only thing that's changed now is the direction of this here. The original one here on the left that we did heads into direction 1. That's the face. The direction is direction 1 here. This one here is running into direction 3, which is down across this direction here. We're going to finish it exactly the way we said. This is the face. We're going to give you the clue. Look for the clue. It's a small line heading in direction 1. So we're going to go ahead and make all these lines running into direction 1. Just like this. You're not going to see the one back here because it's overlapped. Remember, whenever a line changes direction, a new line is formed. So wherever there's a corner, you're going to form a new line. Once that's accomplished, you follow the rule of relationship. You can work from the top to the bottom or even from the middle to out, whichever way you want to go. But we'll show you how this works. This goes vertical, so the back line goes vertical. This line here is direction 7, so this line has to go direction 7. Again, another vertical. We'll put that in there. And another direction 7. Notice that all the lines either go to make your extensions are all in direction 1, and then all the lines drifting the other direction is direction 7. There's only 3 direction lines that you can use on this. Let's go ahead, sort of complete the form out now. Let's go ahead, hatch this in. Remember, don't scribble those. Those are basically just going to be a hatch. I have a very dull pencil, so they kind of sort of blend together. Remember, do not make your shadow too dark, and the shadow has to be in one of the 3 lines that we're using in this method. There's only 3 lines in this method, and that's all we'll ever use. Let's jump on over to this next one. It's the same exact form, except for it's changed directions. It's gone the opposite direction. Look for the clue that I gave you right here, okay? Now I know that this form here is, this side or shape is created with vertical lines and direction 1 lines. So that only leaves me one other option since we only have 3 different lines that we can use. This is direction 1 and vertical. So we have to go ahead and draw these in direction 7. And it's best to go ahead and do them all at the same time and try to keep them the same length. Finish it off following the rule of relationship. Whatever the front does, the back does. This goes vertical, that goes vertical. Direction 1, direction 1. It goes vertical again, so we'll go vertical. And then we finish it off again in a direction 1 line. Finish out the form, add a little bit of shading, hatch in this, a little on the top. Make sure it's not floating in the air. Remember, I told you all about all that. Let's go ahead and jump on into this next one. This one, L, is facing away from us. It gets a little bit more difficult. Remember, all of these basically get more difficult as we go down it, okay? It's a little bit different. Think your way through it. Remember the rules. This shape is created with direction mostly 7 and vertical lines. So that means we can only go one other way, which is direction 1, and then I give you the clues. Wherever the line changes direction, a new line is formed. Okay? We don't see one here because it goes behind the object. The next trick then is to go ahead and follow the rule of relationship. Whatever the front line does, the back line does. We move it across here. Vertical, direction 7. And then this is what throws a lot of people, this one right here. So we have to come the other way. It's going to come in direction 7. But it's going to work its way that way. Let's go ahead and finish this up. Okay, a couple here, a little bit there. Remember, the shadow cannot be dark, and it always just kind of uses the same direction of one of the 3 lines that we used. Just like that. This next line here, of course, this is the elementary line we just did here, the elementary line. Let's go down to the next line, okay? It gets a little bit more difficult. And again, for lack of better things to call it, we just call these H shapes. And the ones above are H shapes or L shapes. So, a little bit more complex. Need to concentrate, think it through. All the rules still apply. Only three different direction lines, vertical, 1, and 7. So let's go ahead here. This face is all created with basically direction 1 lines and vertical. You're going to find out that in every drawing method, the vertical line is always pretty much true. So let's go to the corner. I give you a clue. A little bit more difficult. These have to be direction 7. And these get a little bit funny here. Kids kind of want to make these go up rather than keeping them low enough, okay? Now, I'll show you a little trick here that helps this out a little bit. Let me get an eraser and start over on this one. And I'll show you this trick. Alright. Let's turn it this way instead. And now it's beginning to look more like a flag shape. At the beginning of the year, I told you there's only one straight line you ever need to really know how to draw, and that's that one line that you pull. And so the straight down line, the vertical line. So if I turn it up so that all of my your direction 7 lines are now direction or vertical lines, this makes it a lot easier to do. Okay, now all these lines are just little vertical lines. I find that easier to do it that way. Okay. So let's flip it back around. As you can see, they all line up better now. It's because, I'm very, very adept at drawing that one line, and it's always straight, and it's always the same. Okay, so we got this going on here. This is a vertical line. Keep this sort of the same length. And this goes through. These two lines are in alignment. If I would continue that line straight through, it would come out on this side, just the same thing. All right. Now we go ahead and finish out the top here. Okay. And this would be a direction 1 line. Again, it's getting kind of complex, so we need some shading to help us out. So we're going to darken the left sides of all these pieces here. Okay. Again, it's a little clearer if we do it this way. Let's drag a little bit shadow work. Don't try to imitate it exactly. That's not the lesson today. But we do want to make sure that we land it, because whenever you need to get in the habit of whenever there's shading, there's must always be shadow also. The H again turns its direction right here. It's a little bit different. The last one was created, the shape was created, or the face was created with the vertical lines and direction 1 lines. This one's now created with vertical lines and direction 7 lines. So we're going to come back and know that all of our extensions need to be in small direction 1 lines. Work it across like that. Once we get that completed, follow the rule of relationship that says whatever the front line does, the back line works. Vertical, vertical. Direction 7, direction 7. You can use this, and it helps out if you use the alignment method I showed you earlier, going straight across like this here. Use the alignment method again, coming down like this and this. And then I just close off the top. See how the H works here. Let's put a little bit of shading in here to help clarify the picture. And maybe a little bit extra underneath here if you want to. There'll be that cast shadow sitting under there. And then let's just land it to the ground. You could get really involved in it and try to make it mirror the image, but that's not the lesson. That's for another time. Let's go ahead and do the E. E works the same way, a little bit different. It's created, the face is created with direction 1 lines and vertical. That means all your extensions have to be in direction 7. So we're going to do this here. Once that's completed, follow the rule of relationship, which basically says vertical, vertical, 1, 1. And don't forget the little ones that are back here. This is the trick here. Most people miss these 2 spots. That's shaded in a little bit. I'm sorry, I'm a little sloppy here. I'm sort of rushing through it. That's all right. Remember, these are just sketches. Which then brings us to the E. And then, you know, it's still an E even though it's a backwards one. It's the face is created with direction 7 lines and vertical lines. So that means all the extension lines, which are these little lines here, have to be direction 1. All right, we don't see them here because it is overlapped by the object. Finish it out, following the rule of relationship. Whatever the front does, the back does. Whatever the front does, the back does. So on and so forth like this here. Got the idea? And then help clarify it. So you see how it works. So that's basically the technique, okay, how that all works. Now, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys mess with these next several lines, all right? I might come back later on, show you another video, or somebody may want to show you how to do the crosses and the T's, and then this would take care of, you know, from your elementary, intermediate, and then this is more of a middle school level. When we start getting down in here to the high school level, it gets a little bit more complex, which is great. And we want to challenge you. Each one gets harder and harder. This one, of course, is going to be by far the hardest. I like to refer to these eventually as start being ribbon shapes rather than letter forms that are up here like this. So these become ribbon forms, which is kind of a cool thing to do. All I really want you to do is get these ribbon forms done for me, which are the ones up here. It's a little bit different. Let me give you a clue. The big difference between ribbons and letter shapes is you have to start off by first creating the thickness of the actual ribbon itself. And once the thickness is completed, then you can go ahead and add the thickness. See, so you're helping to continue the form. These are pretty simple. You'll be able to figure them out. They're a lot like the boot or the L shapes that are up there at the top. These on this side get a little bit more difficult to do. I like this one down here. I like to call it my rubber band picture. You can figure it out also. All right. So I'll let y'all play with that, and I look forward to seeing these on Wednesday morning. I'll probably grade these. So again, I won't be able to see these unless you post them. So as soon as you get them done, make sure that you get them posted so that I can grade it and figure out what's going on. Well, y'all have a good day. Peace out.